Welcome back, and today we are going to be covering the MiG-17. I've actually never made a video on this thing, surprisingly enough. I don't really like the MiG-17 and the MiG-15 because of the 37 and the 23 combo on the bottom of the nose. I simply can't aim them, so it takes me quite a bit of effort to actually get good gameplay with them. After a few games, it does kind of come together, but I just really hate getting through that first phase where I can't hit anything. I use 300 meters with vertical targeting only on this plane because it just helps me aim. It's personal preference. If you like vertical targeting or not, it's completely up to you. The guns are kind of iffy and definitely the biggest weakness of this plane. It is at 8.7, which also means that you are going to be seeing planes like the AV-8s, planes like the F100s, F104s, and they are kind of annoying to deal with because they just have so much more acceleration. They're much faster than you. And your plane is really specialized at the medium to low speed engagements. It's not quite as good as a MiG-15 bis in like the low speed 1v1, but they get pretty close. And overall the MiG-17 is definitely the better plane, so the 8.7 battle rating is definitely warranted. Now we also have the J4, which you are seeing on the screen as of right now, and we have the MiG-17 AS. All of these planes are the same thing, except the AS has some missiles. The flight performance are all completely identical. At medium to low speed, as you can see on the screen, this plane is an absolute menace. You just need to make sure, that you get a little bit of an idea on how maneuverable this thing is, I'm gonna just give you a few dogfights. Now the dogfights are very far and few between, especially with all the F104s running around, which absolutely ruin your entire battle dynamic. But you know, you have to just do with what you are given. CL-13 on R6, his roll rate is vastly superior. So we are going to air brake a little bit, make sure that we are going to stay inside of a Sterling circle. We roll on over, and then when he pulls back in, we are actually just behind him, and we take his wing off. And that is going to be kill number 1. And the only kill I'm going to get that entire match. Then we are on the 6 of an F-30. And the F-30 in a 1v1 should lose basically every time. And we are on the 6, we are running a pretty low fuel amount. We run 10 minutes here. Most Sabres run a little bit less, but in general it shouldn't really matter. I air brake a little bit to solidify my position so that I don't overshoot. We pull it back in because we don't want to burn too much energy away. And he's trying to abuse his roll rate, and that's the correct thing to do. Now he's trying to rope me in, he's losing a lot of speed, so we go into the air brake yet again. He is air braking as well. And once you both start air braking, the Sabre just loses every time. Once the MiG-17 is solidified, it is completely over. He tries to roll out of the way, but the nose authority of this plane is simply way too great, and we take his wing off as well. This plane is an absolute menace when it comes to the 1v1. The issue is that RRB is not a 1v1, and getting quick kills in a quick succession, unless you have absolute god tier aim because you fly this thing way too much, is just not really feasible. So it's very hard to get the ball rolling, it's very hard to turn a game around depending on the planes that you are fighting. As of right now, we are fighting 2 A4Es, and it's very easy to just kind of turn around instantly, click on them, and they are going to be dead. But if you are fighting 2 Sabres, for example, it's very hard to kill them, it's very hard to hit them, and if you can't hit them and kill them, guess what? They're just going to be alive perpetually, and eventually you are simply going to die, and it's simply just rather unfortunate. Here's an A32A, we go head on with him. I don't want him to fly away after the head on, so instead I'm just going to go sideways, because I know that I can win the dogfight even if he starts on my 6. So I bait this guy on my ass, we start turning, and I'm just waiting for him to start going slow enough so I can reverse my turn back into him. We start the rolling scissor motion. I drop the flaps a little bit just to slow down a little bit more, get a little bit more turn rate. Make sure we solidify the position, burn a bit of speed to turn around just a little bit quicker. We take his wing off and we go to the next guy. And in these situations, this plane is absolutely fantastic. F111 here, he has been camping the base for a good 3 to 4 minutes now. And I just know what he's going to do, so we are going to pitch up in front of him. We are also going to do the exact same thing as with the A32. We want him a little bit slower, just so it's easier for us to actually hit him out of the air. So we pull him up, we start reversing, we go into the scissor, and he actually breaks off to go head on. But I know that he wants to go back to the runway, so I'm just waiting for him to start turning. And the second he does, you see that I'm already preemptively rolling over. There he is. He rolls over. We are going to pull, but I'm not going for the shot right here. I'm just making sure that I end up directly on a 6. We take his plane apart and we go into the next game. And this is more of an RB setting. Now it's going to be an A4E, an F9F and another A4. I'm not exactly sure, but it's going to be a 3v1. We are alone on this side of the map. And I just want to show you that the retention, the acceleration and the maneuverability is absolutely peak on this thing. So we have the first F9F pitching up for us. We are just going to kind of keep it side aspect, keep him climbing up for us just to make him burn a little bit of extra speed. We are still kind of flying straight, making sure we turn a little bit to dodge all the missiles. We go up over them and now I basically have these three guys prop hanging for me when they are in a jet. And this is of course not very beneficial for them. Go for the weakest link first, it's the A4, and the A4 has absolutely no chance in this dogfight. But it makes it so that I have to not worry about an extra set of guns, which is going to kind of be annoying when I'm already in the 2v1. Two F9Fs, they are pretty good in the retention department, but they don't turn too well and they sometimes actually keep too much energy for their own good. Second guy basically stalled out, we do the same thing, we turn in, we get a crit, we don't actually manage to finish him off. And now we just start reversing the guy on a 6 again. We go up, he's diving, he doesn't have an angle whatsoever, so this is the super free angle for me to start pulling up into. And the second he gets slow enough, we simply go down, we cut inside of his turn, and he should get reversed in due time. Now of course, most of the time when this happens, you're going to get friendlies that are going to interrupt your fight, which are kind of annoying when you're trying to make content, but that is what this plane is good at. It can basically keep turning forever, and it can turn over and over and over again while the enemy just basically stalls out. Now the issue is again finishing the job. Now this guy tries to pull head on, he's never going to pull into that, so we just kind of commit into it. We take his wing apart and we go head on with the second F9F that we already crit a little bit earlier. So we go vertical, we kind of go up over behind him, and now all we need to do is put the nose down, because we are just going to completely out accelerate this guy while he's trying to fly away. A4E comes in, make sure that we dodge the head on, because I don't want to have anything to do with that. And you can tell that the F9F is going to have absolutely no chance of getting away from us. It's simply way too slow, and this also turns into a relatively easy shot. And really, the MiG-17 is pretty straightforward. The issue is applying your strengths in an actual match. So let's take a look at that. Now we know we are maneuverable, we know we have acceleration. The issue again is about the maneuverability at super high speed, I guess, but it's mostly just the effect of not being able to kill people very quickly. So we have to play it a little bit slower, a little bit less aggressive, but we don't want to be so passive, because then they are just all going to be sitting on our ass and they are going to be spraying us down, and we don't want that to happen. The F100 is very annoying to deal with, because he can run you down all game long. But this time he's actually trying to dogfight us, so I am going to be kind of trying to reverse him. He went vertical, he went after us, he bled all of his speed, and now we are actually able to just kind of pull in behind him and shoot him down. Now the Swift F1 is actually shooting at a friendly, but he already missed his angle, and the F100 in the long run is just a much more annoying plane, so I just want to make sure that he dies right here. We get a critical hit, I miss some shots because I'm absolutely dog shit at this game. And then we hit the next few rounds when he's just flying straight. Looks like I didn't even need to. He probably lost his tail control. But you never know when a guy like that starts diving out. They might do it because they're trying to run away. So I just want to make sure that that guy dies. I don't want him to go back to the runway and then start running at the end of the game where I can't catch him. And they are going to be obscenely annoying to deal with when they know you are there. We got him slow. We took him out, and then we fly to another small fight on the game. With this plane, I try to just stay near the smaller fights. So here's an E-10 Dart together with the Swift. Now there's an F-86 coming in as well, but the E-10 Dart is already going relatively slow. He's going to be a relatively easy kill, and he's also going to bleed a lot of speed. Now he does have very good climb rate at these speeds, where you can just kind of straight line it like that. And if he was a little bit further away, this definitely would have worked. But he wasn't further away, so it really didn't work at all. But you can tell that my team is kind of falling apart. Now in this case, I actually have some squad mates around. I've been playing with some friends lately. I've just been not too into the game, and having some people to play with just makes it a lot easier. So lately you will see a little bit more squadded gameplay. But overall the gameplay is going to be a little bit more selective, and I'm going to be trying to use a little bit more clips. Except when my squad just dies, where I actually have to show you something. I don't think it's very fun to watch where we basically just steamroll a team in 2 minutes flat, because it doesn't really give you any decent content. I might put in like a background clip where we kill everyone at the start, where we're just talking about nonsense. But overall, I try to minimize squadded footage, because very often it's a little bit stale and it feels a little bit too easy. And there's really not much to show you that you couldn't basically get in like a custom battle type beat. Guy number 6, just want to make sure that he doesn't actually missile us. Razor wraps up 2 guys with his Yak 23 in the background. And then the Alpha Jet in front of us is just getting people slow, so we get a pretty easy shot on him. A3 is going to go down into the ground. It's an assist, unfortunately. Then we turn around and we start engaging the other 2 A4Es. And the A4Es make up like half your kills in the enemy team. Kind of annoying because they're not really a difficult fight. There's really not much to show you unless there's like 3 of them at the same time. Which is just rather unfortunate when it comes to the footage. But if you want to get 3 kills, this thing is quite easy to play as long as you can aim the guns. And you don't get fully up tier because the compression is just absolutely insane. And then a little bit later we have to deal with this Vixen that has also been camping the base for a while. You can see they only have a minute of fuel left. But I'm not gonna go back to base. I just want this guy to be out of the match. And really the only reason I'm showing you this is he played like a bitch and he's about to die like one. So we have to solidify that into the history books and make sure that everyone saw what he is trying to accomplish. I think he's trying to accomplish to go back to the hangar because he's doing a pretty good job at it. Then for the next game we are going to have a little bit more of an average experience. I'm going to miss a lot of shots. This is more like the average matchmaker as well. It's 8.7, there's some 8.3s, there's some 9.0s as well I believe. And overall, the Sea Vixen in this lobby is just, it's a very annoying plane to deal with. They're much quicker than you, they have very good acceleration, they're pretty hard to hit when they actually use their speed properly and they roll around all over the place. And their missiles are just annoying. You constantly have to turn into them because it doesn't matter how bad they are. If they get on your 6 and you're slow enough, that missile will find your asshole and it will start licking it. You want to be careful of those. You really want to keep your eyes on them at all times because if they sneak up on you, it's a very big likelihood that you are simply going to die because it just doesn't matter how bad their aim is. Hell, it doesn't even matter how bad they are. I know a person that only has like 10 games in War Thunder. They bought the Sea Vixen, well they borrowed the Sea Vixen. And guess what? This person managed to go 10-1 in their first, I think 5 games. Then they died a few times, but they're still going like 7-1 when the only games they ever did was in the Sea Vixen. They didn't have any prior flight game experience. All they did was keep their speed, shoot missiles off and make sure they sneak up on people. And a monkey can do it. It's really not that difficult and that's what makes them so dangerous. Not because they are particularly great, but it's an absolute skill equalizer which is just incredibly easy to pick up and fly. Now we are chasing this F-86A5 still. It's not really working out. But in the end, they do get damaged, I believe, and we managed to take his wing off, or we take his tail off, and that is going to be kill number 1. Just kidding, it's an assist. The IL-28 actually managed to shoot his wing off. Now, we are on relatively low ammo, and this is how my very first games went. This was the second game that I did in this plane, and I just want to put it on the screen so you have an idea of what it feels like, because these are the games that you are going to get pretty often. You need to get used to the guns, you need to get used to the flight model. When you get a favorable matchmaker, the guns aren't that much of an issue because you are going to get an infinite amount of shots as long as you are not like in a 1v6. But now we go head on with an F-80. He's kinda not scary at all. But there's also an A-29 coming in, which also isn't scary at all. But when they are staggered like that, if you start turning with the first one, the second one, even though that plane might be absolutely abysmal, is still going to kill you. So we start turning in here, F-80. Unfortunately breaks off and we're just going to put it into a bit of a raid fight. And the MiG-17 is very strong in this kind of engagement where you just have to pull into one direction. If this keeps up, I'm going to get on the 6 very quickly. Now keep in mind the A-29 is a very bad plane, so he's going to lose regardless. But it doesn't really matter what he's playing when we get that kind of engagement, because all you really need to do is just keep the pressure up and eventually you are going to end up on their ass. Now here you get a pretty decent shot on the F-80, we crit him, then we miss everything on the A-29, we take a swing off, we severe him, and then we turn back in to actually finish off the F-80. We miss everything, but they are both going to be dying. And that is going to be kill number 1 and 2 I think, and we are on only 9 rounds left. Sabre 105 comes in, not exactly petrified of this thing, all we need to make sure that he doesn't kill us in the first pass. And after he misses the first pass, we are basically cooking and this guy is going to die. Now he has a lot more energy here, so he is going to be able to run away from us for a little bit. And we try to get some pot shots at long range. I only have 3 rounds left at this point. And the Sabre 105 is just a very slippery plane to kill from directly behind. Especially when they try to keep their speed. Now he air brakes a little bit there. He tries to make me overshoot. But again, it's not really an issue. The issue is that instead of trying to fight me, he instantly just straight lines it back to the runway. Absolutely fantastic. And now the Sea Vixen is coming in, so I rather just kill the Sea Vixen, because the Sabre 105 is very clearly trying to either land, repair or camp the airfield, whereas the Vixen is actually trying to engage me. So we just kind of go up over him. I hope that he engages me. I'm hoping that the Sabre 105 turns back in because I'm dogfighting the Vixen. He does not, but by turning that way we deny him the ability to turn back in, and we give us a little bit more room to kill the Sea Vixen right here. So we dive on him, take the first shot, we miss it, a little bit unfortunate, turn that way again to make sure that the Sabre can turn around without giving him our ass. And then the Vixen goes vertical and I drop the flaps, and that is all she wrote. 37 in the middle of the plane, he's on fire, he's gonna burn up, and he's gonna give me another kill, and the Sabre 105 then lands and leaves. And here is my actual very first game that I did in the MiG-17, and I was running the S-21s. I needed like a few kills with the Russian one. I wanted to get it like a nice round number. I think I have 500 kills in the thing now. So that's why I switched to the Chinese one, and we are actually carrying the S-21s. Now you can carry the S-21s for 2 reasons. You can of course dump them in the head-on. 1,000 meter fuse. Sometimes they do damage, sometimes they do not. They are very inconsistent. And other times you can actually use them as flares. And for flares, they're pretty reliable. Basically every time you shoot one of these off, the missile behind you is gonna be a miss. But not all the time. Dive on the A-32, take his plane apart, he's gonna put it into the ground. And we are simply going to fly away for a little bit. And the issue here this match is we get fully up-tiered and there is just supersonics everywhere. And chasing these guys around is an absolute pain in the dick. And that's one of the main reasons why I really couldn't be asked to fly this thing around. Now we should go head on with the Milan. He dodges last second, so there's no way for us to actually hit that, even if my aim was good enough. Other Milan comes head on, compressing a bit, not really feeling it. So instead we're gonna go vertical, we're gonna loop on over, and then we notice that the Milan is actually going for my friendly. He gets the kill, but by going vertical for him, he's now gonna be pretty slow. He might start out accelerating me in a second here because his top speed is much higher, but we have an S-21 and we make him just come all over the place. And that's essentially all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.